The charge she makes is that the people she names are somehow on the take. That's the charge she is making here today on the floor of the House. The vaccination programme up and running to do the things that the public need us to do. But they have unbelievably entered into politics, made sacrifices, overcome the obstacles that she will be aware of to get into this place, not to serve in public life, but to do a mate, or more accurately a Tory mate, or someone that they vaguely know, or met in a lift once, or perhaps don't know at all, a favour. That is the accusation that she is making today. And I'm afraid this is why the Labour line of attack is not getting traction, well rehearsed though it is. It's not getting traction with the public because it is not plausible. It is based not on fact, but on speculation, innuendo and smear. Perceived conflicts of interest are not those that the Right Honourable Lady has made up. The public care about scrutiny. They do. They care about accountability and transparency and standards in public life. What they see through, though, is the performance the Right Honourable Lady has given today, which is designed to smear decent colleagues and denigrate British business. I would direct her, Mr Speaker, to the National Audit Office report, which refutes the accusations she's made about MPs, civil servants, business and members of the public. But I'm sure the Right Honourable Lady already knows that. I would suggest to her that an Essex MP is perfectly entitled to forward an offer of help from the Essex Chamber of Commerce to help in a pandemic. MPs do it all the time. It is part of our job. But the Right Honourable Lady already knows this too, and I'm afraid so does everyone else. The urgent question today has more to do with Labour's internal politics and divisions than the conduct of members of this House and enterprises who have been working to help the NHS and to save lives. The Honourable Lady has made particular accusations today about colleagues, and I just want to make a final point, Mr Speaker, because if you were to take every single MP she's made an allegation about this afternoon, and you were to look at all of the political donations they have received since the pandemic started, since January 2020, if you were to add them all up, if you were to double them, no, Mr Speaker, if you were to quadruple them, you would still just about match what the Honourable Lady herself has received in the same time period. And she should thank her lucky stars that we don't play the same games that she does. She is in a new position. She shadows the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, who now looks after some of the most pressing issues facing this nation: the union of the United Kingdom, devolution, the recovery from this crisis, national security, community resilience, and the British brand around the world. That's what we're focused on. I hope that after her debut today, she will be too, and I wish her well.
They believed it would be a routine day inside Parliament, a controlled exchange where each sentence is measured, disagreements stay tempered, and political clashes resolved through procedure and polite responses. But what unfolded inside that chamber quickly became far more intense, far more personal, and far more politically charged than anyone present seemed ready for, because the moment the minister stood, the atmosphere shifted in a way that felt almost physical, as if the air itself had tightened, and what started as a standard policy discussion gradually turned into a direct confrontation over credibility, trust, and public perception. And from the very first exchange, it was clear this would not follow the usual pattern of restraint, because instead of easing into cautious language or carefully structured replies, the minister moved straight to the point with a tone that carried both control and challenge, and every word appeared crafted not just to respond, but to corner. Not just to explain, but to highlight contradictions that had been building beneath the surface for some time. And as the debate intensified, all attention shifted toward Angela Rayner, who suddenly found herself not only defending a position, but defending her broader political framing in real time, under pressure, in front of a chamber that had fallen completely silent in anticipation of what would come next. Because what made this exchange so charged was not only what was being said, but the speed at which the narrative was shifting and reforming in front of everyone watching, as the minister continued with pointed remarks that left little space for ambiguity or comfortable interpretation, and every sentence seemed to remove the layers of political protection that usually surround figures in such debates. And then came the moment that shifted everything, a single line that cut through the noise and landed with force across the chamber, stating that the public could clearly see through the argument, a statement that did not just challenge a policy or decision, but questioned credibility itself. And in that instant, the dynamic in the room changed completely. Because this was no longer about differences in governance or interpretation of data, it became about perception, about whether the public narrative aligned with the political reality being presented inside Parliament, and the silence that followed was not empty but heavy, as if everyone understood that something significant had just been said aloud, and as Angela Rayner moved to respond, the pressure only increased, because every clarification now carried the weight of proving not just accuracy, but consistency, and every attempt to reshape the argument seemed to invite further scrutiny from the opposing side, who continued pressing forward with a calm yet persistent line of questioning that left little room to step back. And what made this moment particularly striking was how quickly the discussion moved from policy detail to personal credibility, from technical explanation to political trust, because in modern parliamentary clashes, perception often becomes more influential than procedure. And once that shift occurs, the focus moves away from documented facts toward what resonates with the public observing from outside. And that is exactly where this confrontation reached its peak. As statements were repeated, challenged, and reframed in real time, each side attempting to shape the narrative, while the chamber itself became a stage for something larger than the immediate topic, a broader contest over authority, accountability, and political image. And even though both sides continued speaking, the energy in the room suggested that the outcome had already been felt rather than formally concluded, because in moments like this, it is often the lasting impression that matters more than the final words. And as the debate moved toward its closing exchanges, the focus gradually shifted from immediate responses to the wider implications of what had just taken place. Because once a statement like that enters the political record, it does not fade when the session ends. It carries forward into media coverage, public discussion, and ongoing interpretation, shaping how future interactions will be viewed through the lens of that moment. And that is why this clash stood out so clearly, because it was not just a disagreement inside Parliament, it was a demonstration of how quickly political narratives can shift under pressure, how rapidly confidence can be tested in real time, and how a single line, delivered at the right moment, can redefine the entire tone of a debate that began as routine but ended as something far more significant, leaving both the chamber and the audience with the sense that what they had witnessed was not just another exchange of political arguments, but a defining moment that will influence how the discussion is remembered going forward.